Oh, we didn't get anybody this time? What? They wanted to pick their team? Oh, okay. Okay. There was somebody who'd registered before. I gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, by the time I get done with that and got the watchdog, yeah. Okay. Okay, good. And not a repeat. Okay, but we still need to get two more theoretically, right? Because we've got one last hour on this. Okay, all right. Okay, we'll figure it out.
About opioids.
The 2021 Honda ATV lineup is here to prove it's possible to work smarter and harder. With the power to get the job done, the technology to make it easier, and tried and tested quality to keep you moving forward, the only thing left to add is you. Then you'll understand how life is better on a Honda. Honda recommends ATVs for riders 16 years and older and recommends that all ATV riders take a training course.
Thank you for riding with the Watchdog. Live and local. Just the way you like it.
Calls and conversations continue in less than 3 minutes as the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues after this.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is, fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-362-2000, 362-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. I'm a private real estate investor who can solve your real estate problems fast for cash. Do you want to sell and just be done with it? Okay, great. I buy vacant properties, boarded up houses, pre-foreclosures, and inherited properties. I also buy apartment buildings, rental portfolios, divorce homes. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. I look forward to solving your real estate problems today. Give me a call for an all-cash offer at 614-362-2000, 614-362-2000.
Quaker Steak and Lube at the Highlands is the perfect place to relax after a long day. Happy hour from 3 to 6 Monday through Friday. Get $2 off appetizers, $3 off domestic drafts, and house wine specials. Quaker Steak and Lube, voted Best Wings USA. Quaker Steak and Lube at the Highlands with another steal of a deal. Get a steak burger and fries all day Monday for only $8.99. It's also Military Mondays. The Lube will take 25% off for all veterans, active duty military, and first responders. Quaker Steak and Lube, voted Best Wings USA.
Does your dog need groomed or walked? Are you looking for a pet sitter or dog boarding options? If so, call Dirty Paws, Wheeling's newest pet care service, providing the Ohio Valley with everyone's pet care needs. Check us out on Facebook at Dirty Paws WHG or call 304-639-7754.
Hello everyone, from the Watchdog, I'm the storm tracker Darnell Foster. With a look at your local weather forecast for your Friday. Partly to mostly sunny skies, a daytime high of 61. The chance of a scattered shower through the evening and the overnight, with overnight lows down to about 30 degrees. You'll see sunshine mixing with clouds for your Saturday, but cooler with highs in the lower 50s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
Hello and welcome.
What time is it? When is it?
Our story begins on Friday morning.
When?
Friday morning, to be exact.
What is it again?
And once again, Friday morning.
Don't forget daylight savings time. Spring forward.
Lost hour of sleep.
Spring forward.
Should we or shouldn't we turn the clocks ahead?
Daylight saving time begins this Sunday. The clocks will spring forward by 1 hour.
An hour. We don't have an hour.
Daylight saving time.
It's showtime, baby.
A fresh take on local, regional, and national news. This is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe, brought to you in part by Wheeling Hospital.
46 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport, 46 degrees at the Robinson Auto Group Studios, downtown Wheeling, in the heart of the Ohio Valley. You know, I started the show off this morning with a controversial Facebook post. One of my Facebook friends had posted a picture of the prime rib she had at the Char House last night, and the controversial post was, prime rib at Char House, really great tonight. And then it turned into one of those yelling and screaming at each other kind of posts with the comments, well, how can you eat that kind of meat? And my friend was going, well, I like it that way, but you don't have to. Anyway, it's just, my point was, everything goes, you got to be careful anymore. Another one of my Facebook friends, I just saw this, just got her vaccine, and I know it's a joke. She says the microchip has been implanted. Don't do that, because then it brings out the crazies who actually believe that the vaccine is Bill Gates' way to monitor us. And now, the comments so far, I'm reading the comments on their Facebook page, are, I think, taken in jest. Can I use Waze to keep tabs on you, or do I have to use Google Maps, you know? Stay away from your microwave for the next few days. It interferes with the signal. All of us who have already been vaccinated welcome you to the hive-minded. I was jabbed on Tuesday, received my welcome packet yesterday, including a wall chart of the secret handshakes and passwords. So, now, these people are being funny, but people are going to be reading this going, you see, this is all a Bill Gates plot. It's all a Bill Gates plot. You can't put anything on Facebook anymore. It's probably true on Twitter as well, but you tend to not quite get the same kind of goofy responses on Twitter. But for God's sake, don't make a joke about it. Don't make a joke about getting a microchip implant. For heaven's sakes, in West Virginia, they're passing a law to tell us you can't do that. That's how crazy people are. Law introduced in West Virginia to suggest that no employer shall make as a condition of employment the insertion of microchips under the skin. And we've talked about this before. To the best of my knowledge, I've never really known anyone to have, had an employer go, yes, thank you, welcome to the new job. Here's your W-2 form. Please fill that out, and here is your basic employee information form. And step right over this way. We're going to implant the chip. I've never heard that. Of course, I guess we won't have to once we all get our vaccine, Biff.
Yeah, well.
Once we've all got the vaccine. And, I've had the vaccine, and there has been no chip implanted in me. Nothing is different now than it was before.
That you know of.
I am not reporting to Bill Gates. I shouldn't joke. Somebody's going to be telling their friends, did you hear Monroe this morning? I could tell he was already under control of Bill Gates. All right, 9:14, 14 after the hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show. Boy, we've got a lot of local stuff to talk. Is McCabe with me?
No, he is not.
Oh, I thought John was going to join us this morning. Well, we're going to talk about, Shane, if you want to call me, you can do that, because Shane wanted to talk about the Bluefield State thing before the break. We can maybe get that in before John gets in here. A lot of stuff I want to get into with John McCabe, newspaper editor extraordinaire. We're going to talk about a couple of quite a few local stories, and we'll throw in some of the statewide stuff as well. Also, so if you want to, but in the meantime, I know Shane wanted to talk about it. You can at 304-232-8255. Also, Biffy, we did get a contestant in the Watchdog Madness contest, yes?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I was just getting that's Shane, so we have him. And Renee was our contestant.
All right. So I think we need to get one or two more. I'm not sure. I've got to keep track here, but we'll try and get a couple more contestants in our part of the Watchdog Madness contest coming up in this hour of the show. We need 16 from this show, 16 from Donnie and Bill and Big Rick, and then we'll have the selection Monday on Monday. Shane, you wanted to talk about the Bluefield State story?
Yeah, Howard. Just had a small thought on that. Saw the press release when it came out of the news story about a day or so ago, and so I did a little research. Got on West Liberty's page, Jesuit's page, Northern's page, and compared them to the programs at Bluefield State. The one thing that disappoints me that I'm not sure anybody is saying or looking at, the programs that Bluefield State wants to offer in Wheeling are not offered by any of the three local colleges and universities.
Well, I think that's a really important point. I don't know. I didn't do the research, but I think it's one of the things that the council and the city leaders have got to look at is there a duplication of some kind there?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm not sure. In reading over the letter, I actually saw the letters from the institutions. I couldn't quite tell if they claim to be offering the same degree or similar degrees. And that there's a distinction there. The same and similar are very different.
Absolutely. I think the public perception, at least to me, was that they were offering the same. And in all fairness, everybody knows I'm a former employee of West Liberty University, and like you, a very close friend of President Capehart down at Bluefield. So I asked him, I said, Robin, what are the programs that you want to offer? They want to offer an associate's degree in electrical engineering technology, one in mechanical engineering technology, and one in civil engineering technology. So, number one, the local schools don't offer those. Number two, all three of these programs are accredited, which none of the local schools have those accredited programs.
Yeah, that's a point that President Capehart made to me earlier this week as well. I said we have accredited programs. The other, another question that I would ask I did ask this of the mayor yesterday. Shouldn't you have gone out and at least had conversation? I mean, at least it sounds to me like Wheeling University, West Liberty University, and Washington Northern Community College. It sounds to me as if all of them are claiming they were blindsided by this.
Sure, absolutely. Absolutely.
It does seem to me that regardless of whether they do or don't duplicate programs, the city has some responsibility to go and say, hey, listen, we're talking to, a college that's 6 hours away. They have no connection to this area. You guys have any comments, any thoughts? And maybe they did. See, that's what I'm trying to find out, because I think there is, as I said to the mayor yesterday, there's a greater responsibility the city has than just a landlord responsibility.
And I agree with you, Howard. You know me, I'm a free market guy, but I do believe there's a point where the city has to step in and say, this is stepping on the toes of local colleges. But I also think those local colleges, if these programs are needed, which according to the research by Bluefield State, they seem to be needed, I'm shocked that the local colleges aren't ramping up and taking that step to do these things if that need is there. So I think they need to get on the ball and take some responsibility too.
All right, thanks, Shane. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Howard.
All right, let's get to McCabe in here and see what he has to say. John McCabe, a managing editor of the local newspapers. John, you heard Shane and I talking about it. It was going to be our first conversational story anyways. I think both of us saw this was going to be coming, but it came suddenly this week, this controversy out of the three local colleges and universities raising questions about Bluefield State.
Yeah, it's I think now the work really begins to see if these are programs that are unique to what Bluefield State is seeking to offer. I'm sorry, I can't talk. So, if Bluefield State is seeking to offer unique programs that aren't specifically offered elsewhere, or if they're a duplication of efforts, and I think Mayor Elliott, and I think he may have said it on your show yesterday. I know he said it, he said it elsewhere and on our paper as well. But there's a layer here on the education end that will have to be dealt with. I mean, we all know and understand the struggles that all the small colleges in this state have, including Bluefield, including West Liberty University, including most obviously Wheeling University, and to look at it now, the HEPC is not going to approve Bluefield State putting a program in, as you said, 5 hours or so away from their home campus, if it duplicates any effort. So they're not going to allow for Bluefield State to come in and undercut West Liberty or West Virginia Northern, which is part of the Community and Technical Colleges program. So I think there are safeguards still in place that the city is not necessarily in the education business. But really, I think in a lot of ways, on a lot of fronts, and we can sit here and debate the genesis of what led to these fronts, but the fact that there were no conversations before this was announced back in January, to me, is a red flag. The fact that council members maybe went in and approved this without a better understanding of what the other our regional institutions might think is a bit concerning as well. But this is where we're at now. I think it's going to be interesting to see where this goes over the next month or two. I'm not going to be surprised if at some point Bluefield State just doesn't pull out. But knowing the nature of one of the people involved, that may not happen.
Yeah, if I'm placing it, if it's on FanDuel, I'm not taking that bet.
And that's the problem is, here's the problem, and let's just put it out on the table, Howard, because we know it's the problem. Again, much as Shane said, much as you've said, much as I've said many times before, Robin Capehart is a good personal friend. No matter what his motives are here, his motives can be 100% above board. Many people who maybe know him, many people who most likely don't know him, are going to look at this as something at the more personal level because of what happened during the end of his tenure at West Liberty. That's something you can't get around. It's not been talked about much over the last few months, but it's a fact that will play in one way or the other. I mean, here you are, the new president of West Liberty University. You've been there for 2 months, and you're dealing with this from a former president who went out on less than ideal circumstances to put it mildly. So there's, again, a lot of different pieces to this that, I think are going to make it a tricky move forward for Bluefield State, number one. But I think the other institutions, particularly West Liberty, are going to have to remain fully above board throughout. Because if there is, if there is some merit to what they're talking about, and these are programs that are in demand up here, and they're not being offered at the level that local employers are seeking, then maybe there's full 100% merit to what they're doing. But that's going to have to come out, go through the HEPC, and I think through continued discussions among the universities.
And first of all, the HEPC will make a final decision. I have not heard for sure, but I would assume the universities, the local college, the local higher education institutions, will probably file objections with the HEPC. Sure. So they'll have a hearing. Their concerns will be heard out at that level. And I do think HEPC will look carefully at whether or not there's any duplication of services, because that's one of the things they're really focused on these days. So it will work its way out at that level. It just, I don't say concerns me, but in the conversations with the mayor yesterday, and reading the vice mayor's comments this morning, the idea that the city has no responsibility to try to look to the interests of local businesses, I think is not right. When the mayor told me yesterday that, well, we're landlords, our job is just to rent space. Well, no, that's true, but you're the city of Wheeling. I expect a little higher level of ethical standards of that. Mayor Thalman in your morning paper today says, nowhere in the city charter does it say we have to protect existing Wheeling colleges and business from competition. Well, it may not say in the charter, but I think there is some responsibility you just sort of have as a city to indeed look out for the interests of those who are already here, not give them full say if there's a reason for something else to happen. But I think you do have a responsibility to look at the businesses that are here, higher education institutions who are here, and ask yourself, are they protected?
Let's look at that. I mean, I think that's an interesting angle to consider just for a second. Now, and I think a lot's going to depend on potentially how the city, if this does move forward, how they structure any deal with Bluefield State. Mm-hmm. If they offer any type of incentives, any type of tax break, whatever, anything to entice them here by making it easier for them to locate here through, again, free parking in the garage, whatever it might be, then I think that's a real problem.
The mayor, just real quick, the mayor told us yesterday that, and let's be clear, there is no deal yet.
Right.
But that one of the things being talked about is maybe a year or two of low or no rent. So there is talk of some sort of, I don't know what word you want to use, subsidy or something on at least a temporary basis. That's not a done deal, I'll be clear, but the mayor did say that was under consideration.
Well, see, and I think therein lies one of the problems that should really be a red flag to other members of council, and the simple fact that if Bluefield State wants to come here and compete with our local colleges, and hey, we all should be about free market competition. If okay, but you can't. The taxpayers of Wheeling cannot subsidize that. The taxpayers of Wheeling are the ones who are working at West Liberty, working at West Virginia Northern, working at Wheeling University. So in essence, what the city's position here is that, okay, we're going to allow a competitor in and you're going to pay for it. That is backward thinking in my mind. I mean, this deal with Bluefield State is not important enough to the city that you should just slap the taxpayers in the face and make them pay to relocate Bluefield State or this new program here. I think that's a pretty clear, given now that there are formal objections from the colleges and universities, I think the city has to say, if this moves forward, you pay full market rate as if we would charge any law firm or, Howard and John's coffee shop, whatever it might be. There is there's nothing to be gained for the city by not, if this was going to come in as a free market venture, then it needs to pay as any other business would.
Well, it's going to play itself out at the HEPC level. I guarantee you there's going to be a lot of debate. In fact, the mayor had told me even before the issue became public earlier this week that he expected it to be fireworks at council next week. So it's going to play itself out at council next week, I'm sure. It's going to play itself out with the HEPC. So there's going to be a lot of time for discussion and debate, and I think it's going to be fairly vigorous. And as you point out, and I'll move on, but there is a certain level of personality involved in this that makes it more difficult than just a traditional quote business relationship here.
If this was WVU,
because of the people involved, there are some issues here.
Right. If this was WVU coming in and Gordon Gee was leading this charge, it would be much harder to pick a fight at a personal level.
Right.
Unfortunately, an easy argument could be made just at a personal level that this is nothing more than, an attempt at some retribution or however you want to look at it. Again, and not saying that that's what it is. But I think the realities are that's what a lot of people will see this as it moves forward. And you can't get around that. You just, no matter what, you can't.
Now, John, before we leave higher education, there is another big higher education story of the week. And that is Wheeling University, who is part of the trio of institutions complaining about this. Wheeling University has its own problems. They've been placed on probation by the Higher Learning Commission. Higher Learning Commission.
Higher Learning Commission, yeah. It continues to be a real problem over there. Again, what you hear from Ms. Babbitt is everything's fine, everything's great, same things we've been hearing for the last several years. And I surely hope they are. I think this entire community needs to hope that Wheeling University can figure out a way to wean itself off of the diocese largesse and find a path forward that makes it a sustainable institution, because that would be a huge loss for the city. But it has been 2 years roughly, maybe 2 years since they nearly shut down the last time, and the news from the Higher Learning Commission, which in essence said they were relying far too much on overly optimistic projections for student retention, and and way too much financially on this annual allotment from the Diocese of Wheeling-Charleston. They've got to forge a path forward because it's not that wasn't good news this week. Again, everyone can say what, you can spin it how you want, but that was yet another, kind of another notch on the belt of how is this university going to move forward? And I'm really concerned and hope that they can, because again, that would be a huge hole in the city of Wheeling. It's a beautiful property. Wheeling College, Jesuit Wheeling University has a solid, 60, 70-year history now, and it needs to be, for Wheeling to figure out a way to be successful, which is what a lot of this discussion is overall. Wheeling University needs to be part of that, Howard.
Yeah, and I'm a huge supporter of Wheeling University, Wheeling Jesuit previously. But I also think you have to be realistic, and I think, with due respect to Jenny Favin, President Favin, your public pronouncements about how great things are one thing, but when you're in your private talks and preparing your private strategic plan and financial plan and so on, you have to actually be realistic, not optimistic. And I think that's to a large extent what the HLC is criticizing here. They say there are two separate strategic plans, both of which seem to be based on, as you said, overly optimistic student retention numbers and other numbers. And then there's just this reliance, there has been and continues to be this reliance on the diocese to keep them afloat, which I suppose if the diocese had created some kind of an endowment and said that this will go on in perpetuity, it might be one thing, but that's not what they did. They just keep making a large cash contribution. So there's just going to have to be, I think, they're going to have to really put together a plan that is honest and realistic and is looking at real numbers, not hopeful numbers. At least that's my opinion. And I don't want President Favre to get upset with me, but I just think it's one thing to say publicly, hey, we're going to increase, blah, blah, blah. It's something else in your private conversations in preparing your plans to build those into your plans, because if you're overly optimistic, you're going to fall short.
Yeah, and I think what I think one of the ones specifically that the Higher Learning Commission pointed out was, they are banking, their financial projections and enrollment projections on an 85% student retention rate, and historically they've been at 71%. So, you can't just say, well, we're going to do 14% better this year. Rick Beyer, who was president up, not many years back, Rick was a very good businessman and had really highly sought goals for student enrollment of 2,000-3,000. But was also, I remember sitting down and interviewing him and asked him, you're 1,500 students now, your projections next year at 3,000 or 2,500. How do you realistically get there in 1 year? Well, and that's the thing, and so that's kind of where it's at. Is they, again, I want to be clear, just as you were, I want Wheeling University to succeed, but there's just some real concerns there right now, as there have been for the last few years.
Absolutely. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Wheeling may be in danger of losing its metropolitan status. Yeah. I don't know how big a deal that really is. We'll talk about that. And the story that I still think this story is somehow just gotten way out of hand. The resource officers in the county schools still seems to be festering a little bit. So we'll talk about those stories coming up in a minute. John McCabe is here with me. It's the Watchdog Morning Show, our Ohio Valley News Week in Review here on a Friday.
The Metro News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Why, who's here? And look what I have on. Your necklace and your earrings and the bracelet too. Happy birthday, Natalie. You tell Mommy happy birthday?
For Cahill to a one-year deal, $1.5 million. This guy's been around. In his 12-year career in Major League Baseball, he has pitched for 8 different teams. Make it 9 now with Pittsburgh. Big 12 basketball tournament. A tough loss for West Virginia. They lost to Oklahoma State by 3, 72-69. The postseason without Duke playing, I'm serious. For the first time in 24 years, the Duke Blue Devils will not be participating in March Madness. Hey, be safe out there. Be considerate of others. Please check on the elderly. I'm Bill DeFabio on sports, and we are the Watchdog.
Tune in to the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe, weekday mornings 7 to 10 a.m. on the Valley's favorite live and local talk radio station, the Watchdog. For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the Watchdog trusts.
The Storm Tracker 7 team is here to warn you when winter weather will affect your day.
And as we go through the overnight after our coating of snow, we'll wake up tomorrow morning with a few snow flurries.
We are also here to help you make the most of the season. Is it a good day to build a snowman? Should you take the kids sledding? Check out our app before you head out the door.
We're going to bottom out to temperatures in the upper 20s.
With meteorologists Dr. Dave Walker, Zach Petty, and me, Aaron Myler, we've got weather coverage you can count on. 7 News, working for you.
Imagine yourself in a Toyota, like a new 21 Highlander or the all-new 21 Sienna, both with $1,500 cash back. Or check out a new 21 RAV4 and take up to $1,250 cash back. Or a new 21 Camry with up to $1,750 cash back. Visit buyatoyota.com for more deals, local inventory, and to find a dealer near you. You can take cash back or apply toward down payment. Offers vary for hybrid models and exclude TRD models. See your dealer for details. Ready, set, go get your Toyota today. Offers end March 31st. Toyota.
There are times when you shouldn't ignore what your body is telling you, and you need to seek medical care. At Wheeling Hospital, we want you to know that we are taking every precaution to make your visit as safe as possible. We're screening visitors, using the latest infection control technologies, offering telehealth for physician visits, and more. This is true throughout our campus, in our ER trauma center, our physician offices, surgical center, and on our patient floors. The pandemic isn't over, but be assured that at Wheeling Hospital, we are here when you need us.
Tridelphia. The Watchdog is protecting your yard. Join Howard Monroe, Hoppy Kercheval, Bill DeFabio, and Big Rick for the best live and local talk in the Upper Ohio Valley and beyond. Tridelphia trusts the Watchdog.
Here's a look at the Ohio Valley local news week in review with newspaper editor John McCabe and Howard Monroe.
It is 9:40, till the hour, 46 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport, 46 at my home studios here in Elm Grove, and 46 degrees at the Robinson Auto Group Studios downtown Wheeling, in the heart of the Ohio Valley. 10:06 this morning, as always. Statewide talk line, my good friend Mr. Kercheval is in. He'll be talking a lot about the income tax proposal, talk about the governor's town hall meeting last night, the letter from the Business Industry Council. Also, Shane Lyons, the WVU Director of Athletics, will be on with Hoppy. Didn't he get like some National Athletic Director of the Year award or something this week, Biffy?
Yeah, and that was by the, I think it's the National Association of Athletic Directors, I think were the ones that gave that to Shane Lyons from West Virginia.
All right, so he'll be on with Hoppy today, discussing, well, getting a little award like that. And of course, it's a Friday, so that means Steam Release, where you can call in and say whatever you want to say, including comments about the host, and Hoppy cannot respond. Should also mention that coming up today after Hoppy on WVOY, FM 97.7 and AM 1370, it's Dance with Dr. G, the Donnie Gilbert Radio Show, live from Quaker Steak and Lube at the Highlands. Dave McLaughlin is the co-host. Dave will talk about what's going on in Benwood. Former Cameron star Ryan Clutter is up talking Sherrard basketball. Jeff McMahon is up to talk about Irish Road Bowling. And that's all coming up today on FM 97.7, AM 1370 on the Watchdog Network with Danny Gilbert, Dance with Dr. G. And finally, a quick reminder that you have a game tonight. We have Wheeling Central and Oakland.
Yes, the Maroonites and the Golden Bears.
That also will be on AM 1370, FM 97.7. Check it on your TuneIn Radio app or at watchdognetwork.com. Right, ho, Biffy?
That is correct.
All right, and while John McCabe and I continue talking about some of the news of the week, if you would like to be our final registrants for the Watchdog Madness contest, Brother Biff will take a couple more contestants at 304-232-8255, 304-232-TALK. And please, if Biff says hold the line, hold the line. Several people who should have been contestants ended up not being contestants because you hung up. Don't hang up. 304-232-8255. If you'd like to be in the 64 names that are going to be in our bin on Monday for Selection Monday, we'll match you up with with these 64 teams in the NCAA brackets. And the team that we match you up with will be your team. You get to follow it through the brackets. If your team makes it all the way through to the championship, you will be the winner of our big screen TV. Please keep in mind, one entry per person only. Uno. Also, you can't pick your team. Somebody tried to pick a team. It's going to be a random drawing. So you can start calling now if you want to, and Biff will get those names while I continue talking to John McCabe. John, you guys have done quite a few stories on you guys, meaning the Intelligence or News Register, have done quite a few stories on Wheeling losing, or maybe losing its metropolitan status. How big a deal do you think that is?
I think it's a big deal. So let me start there. I think it's a really big deal, actually, and I'll give you a couple reasons why. First, it's not a deal yet. This is just a proposal from a federal working group that would eliminate 144 metropolitan statistical areas across the country. So again, I'm no government policy expert by any stretch, but in essence, what an MSA is here in our local area, it's, Ohio, Marshall, and Belmont counties make up what's known as the Wheeling MSA. That allows those counties and cities within those counties to apply for, to receive things such as, CDBG funding, other grant funding, whenever, I think just recently a good way to think of it is Senator Manchin had his news conference, and, as part of the COVID relief bill, it's much easier as you're putting together this huge $1.9 trillion package and you want to give money to cities, to give money to cities and states that are MSAs, because they have certain population densities and population numbers that are accompanying that. So right now that's a big deal. If Wheeling would lose its MSA status, and they're saying it's only for some other reasons, but there's always the concern, as Bob Aaron, talked about earlier this week, that it could be, there could be funding tied to it down the line.
It's also an image thing, right, John?
Yeah, I think that's really, to me, that's one of the, I don't want to say the bigger points, but I think that's a really big point as well. Wheeling, Weirton is another one. There's, pretty much every MSA in West Virginia outside of Charleston goes away. So Parkersburg, Wheeling, Beckley, Morgantown. So it's for an area like Wheeling, an area like Parkersburg that has been struggling with population retention and struggling to, find a new identity. This is, in my mind, just another kick in the teeth from the federal government. And what the federal government is doing is reassigning the size requirements that would be needed to be an MSA. Right now, Wheeling as the core city and Ohio County as the core county just don't meet up with the size requirements that the federal government wants to have moving forward. When the 2020 census comes out. So again, is it a big deal? No, yes. Is it a big deal? Yeah, it really is. I think it's a big deal from a status point of view, as West Virginia looks to remake itself, and the governor's got all these grand plans. If you only have one metropolitan area in your state, in Charleston, and we all know Charleston is got tons of problems on its own with population retention and everything else. It's just not a good image that you rebuild a state with. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, to see things going down is not what that's just not what you want to see. And again, it's not so much because we're changing; it's because if this happens, it's because the definition will change. But still, You don't want to
yes and no. I mean, the definition changes, yes, but, frankly, the definition that currently is being used is 70 years old, is when it was put in place, and it's never been changed. So, much as we all know, all of our areas over the past 70 years have seen substantial population loss. 70 years ago, Wheeling was probably Howard? Over 50,000 people for certain.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it might have been around its peak 70 years ago, or close to it. Am I saying that maybe there doesn't need to be some redefining some of those things at time to time? Yeah, but I just think for Wheeling right now, it would just be yet another, bad connotation to go with the city.
I think, again, there is some practical loss here, but there's also an image thing that I think is fairly important. John, one last story before I have to move on. And it's been sticking around. By the way, if those folks watching on Facebook Live, yes, that was my 5-year-old who came in and gave me a good morning hug. So while John was talking, I was getting, and he wanted to talk. I don't know if you could hear him in the background. He goes, "Granddad, I want to talk." No, you can't talk on the radio right now, so grandson. But if you saw, camera was on, so that's who it was. Came in and gave me a little hug. John, this story about the Ohio County School Board and their contract with the Ohio County deputies for a number of years to be resource officers in the schools, I guess that's gone completely now, and now they're going to be going to Wheeling police officers. I get the sense that Sheriff Tom Howard still is not happy with this whole thing.
Well, I think that's pretty clear given his comments this week. He's being very outspoken in that, in a couple different fronts, that he's being kept out of the discussions, and has been kept out of the discussions on this. The kind of the new proposal that looks like might be what goes forward next year would, I think, only have 2 deputies, if I recall correctly. One at Wheeling Park and one at that would rotate between, I think it was Middle Creek, West Liberty, and Bethlehem. And the rest, and then 3 additional Wheeling police officers would be sought for employment. And a lot of it really comes down in the sheriff's mind that, the price the Ohio County Commission is charging is for a full-time deputy for 12 months a year. And that's what they want to charge the school board, even though, in his mind, 3 months of that year, those deputies are working the roads in Ohio County. So it really is, it used to be, I think, $60,000 they charged for a deputy, or that would be the charge that he would want to be. But no, this has been going on for 2 months, maybe going on 3 months now, Howard. And it's amazing that even with the contract in place, that it continues to be a sore spot in Ohio County.
The school system is going to start using more police officers as opposed to deputies, right?
Yes.
And there's a significant savings there. I get where
you can't argue the money. You simply can't argue the money end of it. I do agree.
I get where David Croft from the school board, who negotiated the contract. I get where he's coming from. He says, "Look at the dollars and cents here."
Yeah, but it's hard to understand. And again, I think what's even harder for me to understand is that, again, the 2 gentlemen who have been the face of school resource officers, not only here locally, but in a lot of ways throughout the state of West Virginia, are the sheriff and his chief deputy, John Schultz, Sheriff Howard. So it's something that I think needs to get rectified and needs to be, it needs to not be an issue. Again, we need to have school safety be first at the reasonable cost, and if the city's cost is at $47,000 is what's reasonable, then that's what you go with. But the sheriff has just not been happy with how, essentially feeling as he's been left out of any of the negotiations.
Yep. Well, communication seems to be a big thing with a lot of people these days.
Yes, it does.
So it kind of beginning and ending with stories that involve, did everybody get the proper communication as the process went on? All right, John, we will talk again next week. I guarantee you some of these stories will still be here, because I'm sure the college stories will continue The Bluefield State story will probably be a big deal next week at Wheeling City Council, and we'll see what's going to happen. Appreciate your time, my friend. Anything exciting going to be in the newspaper this weekend? I know there's always something
actually, we have a good
exciting.
follow-up tomorrow on the colleges. Again, we have another story. I think it's going to be as good as the one we had today, which I thought was packed full of a lot of really good information, and a good follow-up for tomorrow on that. And and I think one thing that's interesting, Howard, that just give you a quick tease on, West Virginia has been, and rightfully so in a lot of ways, held up as the gold standard of the vaccine distribution nationwide. Any idea where West Virginia ranks right now in terms of usage of vaccines that have been allotted?
I do not.
12th nationwide, 12th or 15, depending on which you look at. A lot of states are quickly catching up. A lot of states have caught up and surpassed West Virginia. So we have a good editorial on that tomorrow because, again, it feels like West Virginia's hit this little bit of almost hit a plateau where they're getting out 9 to 10,000 a day, and then states. Connecticut is a good example. Connecticut has done a better job of getting shots in arms, particularly getting first shots in. And part of it, I think, is West Virginia has set aside allotments for the second doses, and instead of just getting shots in arms as quickly as possible. So it's kind of interesting. Again, not saying the state's doing anything wrong or right, but has been interesting to watch as even states that have been extremely poorly managed, such as New York, within a few days likely will pass West Virginia in percentage of the population that's got at least one shot. So West Virginia still sits higher in full vaccination than most states. I think right now, outside of Alaska and New Mexico, like 3 other states, West Virginia is right there as among the best fully vaccinated. But when you look at the number of people who've gotten a dose, West Virginia falls in 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, all the way down into like 17, 18.
I look forward to seeing that in the paper this weekend.
It's interesting. Just an interesting look at that.
All right. We'll look for that in the Sunday News Register that comes out on Saturday.
Yes, sir.
Okay, John.
Thank
Talk
you.
to you later, my friend. Thanks a lot.
Bye, Alex.
All right, that's what the newspaper's got coming up. Let's see what the TV station's got. What's WTRF TV7 News working on today? The linchpin of all of that is Bob Westfall, and he's here with us. Good morning, Bob.
Oh, no, the linchpin is Lynch.
Oh, Johnny Lynch, of course. You're right. You're the chief cog in the wheel. How's that?
Yeah, I've probably been part of the machine for way too long. Anyway, story out of Washington County. Woodworking business owner from Washington County is accused of joining rioters in the U.S. Capitol 2 months ago. Daniel Jeremiah Shalvey. And apparently he's a Park graduate. Graduated from Wheeling Park in 2003 and West Liberty University in 2008. Apparently the FBI is talking to people out of Pittsburgh. Appears that Shalvey had sent some texts and photos that looked like they were taken inside the Capitol building, inside the Senate chamber. So he is under investigation. He has been given a public defender who had no comment as of yesterday. So we're going to continue to follow this story. We actually did a story with him about 2015. He ran the Second Life Arborist business here in Wheeling.
The name was familiar to me when I saw it, but I couldn't remember where I'd heard that from.
Yep. So we're following this. We're working with a couple of our sister stations to see if we can get more on this. But then apparently he is federal records were unsealed this week. He's charged in February with trespassing off Capitol grounds, violent entry, and disorderly conduct, and obstruction of Congress.
All right. So, that's an interesting story. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
So that's something we're working on today. So we got a little bit that obviously is out on our social media and our website. So we've got that. A couple things we're working on in light of with the stimulus package passed and signed yesterday. We're going to take a look at earned income credits, things like that. They have literally doubled with this with this stimulus bill. So we're going to talk to one of our experts, find out what exactly families and people can look forward to when they start doing their taxes here come up shortly because of what was passed by Congress yesterday.
The EITC is a great tax for those, is a great opportunity for those who have kids under a certain, if you're in a certain income level. I know when my kids were kids, we took advantage of it on many occasions. So it can be a big help, and this is increasing the amounts you can get.
Right, so we're going to find out what those amounts are and let people know what kind of relief they can look forward to. I guess sticking with the following the money, we're going to sit down and take a look, and literally nonpartisan look at Jim Justice tax plans and take a look at what's positive, what might be construed as negative, and just break down the numbers. So we're going to do something on that today as well. I know a lot of people for it, a lot of people against it. Just kind of depends on where you come down at. So we're going to take a look and just crunch the numbers. Just see where the numbers take us. That's the biggest thing.
All right, sounds good. People can check all of this out and a great deal more at noon, 5, 6, 10, 11, 5:30 statewide show. And for the linchpin, Johnny Lynch's WTRF.com, where news always comes first. So, Bob, have yourself a great weekend. We will talk again on Monday.
All right, guys, you too.
And on Monday, we're going to talk about forced pooling. Christian Turek from Gold Corey and Turek is going to be with us to talk about forced pooling in West Virginia. All things considered, I should be back Monday at 7 o'clock to the go-around of the gig. Are you back with me, Biff?
Back Monday, ready to start another week.
All right, we'll just keep on doing it till we get it right.
That'll be a long time.
Indeed.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Last night, the president...
All right. So what do we end up with on the Watchdog Madness, Biffy? How many do we have? Oh, we got all. So we filled up our 16. Okay, very good. That's good. Good. All right. As I mentioned, Teddy seems to have just arrived. The little kid wanted to. I'm talking to John. John's talking. He comes in, hugs me, and says, "Granddad, I want." Shh, quiet. I think he got upset. He went out. I think Granddad won't talk to me, so I better go out and make sure he's okay. And then we'll play Mario probably. Oh my God, we played Mario all day yesterday. Oh Lord, his mom was here. She kept saying, "Will you two stop yelling?" But we have such fun, you know. We just yell and scream, and he laughs at me when I die because I die all the time. And but his mom was like, "Please stop it, stop it." So I will go out and do that. I think Nancy's going to go and decorate my daughter-in-law's house today, kind of reverse things, and we'll see what happens. I have Turek on Monday, Christian Turek, and I think I may try and get one or two of the council people to come on and reflect on this college thing. I'm not sure. Plus, always legislative stuff. Usually try and get Bill Ehlenfeld in on a Monday if I can, so... We shall see. We should be okay, though. So have yourself a great weekend. Appreciate your help today, and I'll be around if you need me for anything. I will die a lot, all over and over again. All right. Have a good weekend. Talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.
100 million professionals to help you find the quality candidate you need quickly, no matter what role you need them for. No, really, any role. Like marketing wizards? Found them.
That project manager I could never seem to hire?
Found them for free.
Even this software engineer I'm totally lost without.
Consider them found. Incredible admins, otherworldly account analysts, and top-notch technicians? Found, and found.
An IT person who doesn't resent me for always forgetting my password?
Frankly, we're not sure that's a thing. So, how do we do it? Well, LinkedIn Jobs targeting quickly matches your roles with candidates who have the right skills and experience, and puts your job in places they'll see every day. So, looking for an easier way to make that next hire? You found it. Post your first job for free and get started at linkedin.com/entertainment. That's linkedin.com/entertainment. Terms and conditions apply.
The Human Rights Campaign says 2021 has already been the busiest year for bills targeting transgender Americans. By its count, 82 anti-transgender bills have already been introduced in state capitals across the country. That's 3 more than all of last year. This